Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our first Tennessee Soccer Club webinar series presentation. My name is Jeff Lightman. I'm the U15, the U19 Girls Director of Coaching and Assistant Marketing Director at Tennessee Soccer Club. And our co-presenter for this evening is Josh Severns, our U12 to U14 Boys Director. Josh, say hi and wave to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming on. Welcome all TSC players, coaches, parents if you're on, directors. We're looking forward to sharing this information with you and hopefully helping the players do some goal setting this week as they practice on their own at home.
First, we would like to take an opportunity to thank all of you for joining us this evening and to encourage everyone to stay safe and well by following social distancing guidelines so we can all get through this together and get back on the field soon. The purpose of our webinar series is to provide ways for all of you to keep growing and developing as players and as people in a virtual environment. We will focus on areas that we will always wish to train, but never seem to able to dedicate as much time as we would like to do so. Just because we can't be on the field doesn't mean we can't get better. Although this is our first webinar, we plan on having more on various different topics such as nutrition, mental skills training, match analysis, tactics, and more, so stay tuned. We hope by attending these webinars that you will enhance your skill set on and off the field and look at soccer and life in a different way. And now we present goal setting.
Well, I think goal setting is very important, and as far as achievement goes, individually and collectively. And I think you want high and realistic goals, and you want intermediate goals sometimes to go to a long-reaching goal.
Yeah, you gotta set goals in life. If you want to be the best, or if you want to strive for more, you gotta set goals, and you gotta set goals that are hard to get. If you want to be the best.
Take it little by little, because from previous experience, I know that if you try to do too much at once, you'll get discouraged and you'll kind of stop and be like, I can't do this. But if you just take little teeny beany steps, then you'll get there without even knowing.
Don't look at the end point, kind of know what that end point is, know what that end goal is, no matter what it is, and then go back to the beginning and kind of take it one step at a time.
My piece of advice for staying motivated would be just to get after it every single day. Just keep on trying to be a better version of yourself.
I think for me, it's setting a plan 100%. If you don't set a plan, you're never going to do it. You're going to say, I'm going to do it tomorrow.
But goal setting is huge, and I've done that my whole life.
So what is goal setting? What are goals? So goals in simple terms are what we want to achieve at the end of our efforts. Goal setting is essentially the concept that if we really, really want something, we're going to push ourselves to the limits to get it. One thing about our presentation this evening is we want to make it interactive. So Zoom allows us to do a limited version of interaction. So one of the things that we want you to do as you're following along at home is to think about, as we're going through the presentation, about how you can set goals for yourself. How does this affect you in your life and in your soccer career? So one of the things that we want to do right now is you can raise your hand if you have done some goal setting before. Obviously, we need to do this virtually. There's a little button on the bottom of your screen. If you can raise your hand, we've got a whole bunch of people raising their hands. This is great. We've got a lot of people who have done goal setting before. That is fantastic. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you some different tools on how to goal set more effectively. So you can go ahead and put your hands down. Thank you for that. So why do we set goals? So goal setting, the purpose is basically to create a purpose. We want to have a purpose in life and in our training. So goal setting is about creating that purpose. It gives you a destination. Think of going on a trip and not knowing where I want to go. You wouldn't know how to start if you started your journey that way. So if I got in the car and I just said, I'm going to drive, and I have no idea where I'm going, then chances are I'm probably not going to get to where I want to go. So that's where goal setting really helps us develop where we want to go and how to get there. It keeps us motivated on those days where we don't want to work. We all have those days where we get up and it's a bit of a grind, but goal setting helps keep us motivated to do that. And again, it keeps us focused on what's really important. Too many times we think about all those things that we can work on, and if we don't never narrow that down and focus on certain things, then we're never going to get better at what we really want. So why again do we set goals? From a psychological point of view, what are the benefits? So psychologically, setting goals helps develop confidence, which we'll talk about in much more detail later. But once you focus on one area to get better and you keep working on it, obviously you're going to get better and you're going to feel more confident about it. So it creates a sense of accomplishment. I achieved that. So when I goal set and I achieve my goals, it makes me feel good about who I am and what I'm doing. So it creates a sense of accomplishment for that. And the last thing is what goal setting does is it starts to create it starts to eliminate or lessen the emotional yo-yo effect. What does that mean? Emotional yo-yo effect is when I'm doing well, I'm really high, and when I'm not doing well, I'm really low. When you set goals for yourself, you're going to achieve success, you're going to achieve failure, but you're going to have a little bit of a steadier course, and you're going to have much less of the emotional yo-yo effect.
All right, so one of our types of goals here is outcome goals, which has some positive and negative characteristics. But what again we're trying to do is outline where you want to end up and eventually where you want to go and what you want to achieve by accomplishing this outcome. And goal setting helps you do that. Another really important aspect of goal setting, and one that's positive, is motivation, in that you have to want it. Then hopefully you can achieve the outcome that you set forth with your goal. And the self-motivation that is needed to continue to improve and push yourself and reach your goals and make them attainable is very important. It's such a crucial aspect in goal setting, is to have that self-motivation to want to achieve and be motivated day to day. As Jeff mentioned, we're just at the start of the situation we're currently in. So having that daily motivation to get out and do what your coaches send to you or the club does is very important. So some negatives to our outcome goals. It tends to be more focused on a result and not necessarily a performance. You can turn into a passenger, meaning some aspects of the outcome could be out of your control, like your teammates, opponents, coaches, the coronavirus. I mean, it is something that's out of our control that we're all dealing with right now. And it's a binary result, meaning you either achieved this goal or you failed. And I'll talk later about handling failure if you don't reach your goal and the outcome you desired to attain. Okay, so typically the evaluation happens at the end, which gives you a one-time psychological effect, which is different than what Jeff will talk about, the process and tracking progress along the way. Okay, and some examples here of outcome goals. As a team, you win a championship, whether it be in state league and other areas of league play that our teams compete in the club. You win a tournament. Another one, becoming a starter on a team and working for that. Scoring a certain number of goals, 20 is the example we have on the PowerPoint here. Okay, and did I make the team I wanted to? Am I on high school varsity or JV? And what was the goal? Do I want to push myself to always contend for a top team spot in the club, national team, etc.? Is my end goal playing soccer to get a college scholarship and, you know, have the ability to study and play college soccer is something that I think your coaches and directors definitely want to help you attain. Some other examples, okay, did for instance, academy players, did you learn positions when you're playing on the field? You know, did you learn anything about formations playing 77 or 99? Some non-related to soccer in school. Did you get an A in your class? Did you study appropriately to attain that? Did you make the honor roll? You wanted to set that for yourself each year. Did you graduate from high school? Is that a goal? So in outcomes and how you achieve it, okay? And you know, now, which is really important, which should be an outcome goal for all you players, are you helping your parents around the house each day or weekly? Okay, and then we'll go through here and Coach Jeff will step in on process goals and the specifics of that.
All right. So Josh talked a bit about outcome goals, which are typically the goals that we see when players try and goal set, is they focus on the end result instead of the process. So, and Josh will talk a little bit about the difference between process goals and outcome goals in a second. But process goals are basically the roadmap of how I'm going to get there. Whereas my outcome goal is the destination. Again, if I get in a car, my outcome goal is I want to end up in Knoxville. My process goal is how do I get there? I'm going to take this right turn and that left turn and get on this highway and ensure that I get there properly. So it's the details of how I do things. Process goals keep me energized and focused on a daily basis. A lot of times my outcome goals are a little bit more long-term. I'm not going to see the result of that right away. So it's easy to get discouraged or not get motivated on a daily basis. Whereas my process goals are very short-term and you're able to see progress right away. So process goals provide constant and instant feedback. Something that our players and just as a society, as human beings, we're constantly craving information. We're constantly craving feedback. Did I succeed? Did I not succeed? What do I need to do better? What adjustments do I need to make to succeed or push myself more? So process goals help provide that instant and constant feedback. Process goals keep me motivated and create a sense of personal accountability. Did I achieve my goal for the day or training session or exercise, or did I not? And then you're in the driver's seat, whereas outcome goals sometimes are affected by external things that Josh mentioned. A process goal, you're pretty much in control. And if not, then you need to alter your process goals so that you are in control, so that you can make things happen. Okay, so examples of process goals are, you know, again, I'm not going to read all of the screen, but juggling 4 days a week to set new personal records. Working on your fitness, running a mile every time and beating your previous score. So there's lots of different process goals. Process goals are basically, again, the roadmap of how I get there.
So when we look at outcome goals versus process goals on this slide here, obviously I mentioned outcome goals before and winning the game. All right, well, the process to help your team win the game as an individual player, here's an example of some things to help that happen. You know, win 60% of 50-50 balls, defend high pressure all over the field. Okay, how did you help the team keep possession when you dribbled and made your passes? Were they accurate? Those are some ways to make the process a little more specific. Okay, and then one outcome goal on becoming a starter. In your process, you set the action plan to train on your own 4 days a week. Practice, you know, as intensely as a game. Ask my coach how to improve, you know, week to week. And then some other ways with that process. Did you listen to your coach and learn and put information into action in each practice and game? Did you commit to the process to improve with your at-home practices? Again, some ways to add further ways to make sure you're implementing your action plan week to week. And then the other outcome goals, like we mentioned, if you're trying to score a ton and you have 20 goals, you can see the difference in outcome being, you know, something that you see at the end of the season with stats like Jeff mentioned, and you all players look at that as what you want to achieve. And us coaches are really helpful on the process, but demanding, you know, yourself to take 3 shots a game to help you score more and defend higher up the field, closer to your opponent's goal. Those are ways to hopefully help implement, you know, achieving goals for yourself. And then obviously fitness, Jeff is going to go through some specifics on that. And now he's going to talk to you all on how to actually goal set and with SMART goals and how that breaks down and looks.
All right. So SMART goals. Raise your hand if you have set SMART goals for yourself, if you're familiar with goal setting, SMART goal setting. Again, lots of people raising their hands. I love it. I absolutely love it. So SMART goals are a method that was created to help create much better process goals versus outcome goals. So SMART stands for, it's an acronym, it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time. So we'll go one by one now. So creating specific goals. So specific goals are about diving into the details. Details matter when we goal set, and especially SMART goal set. So what exactly do we want to achieve? And get very specific with it. What exercise are you going to do? How many reps? How many minutes? How much rest? Which foot are you going to do it with? All those sorts of things. It's about creating the exercise that you're going to use to get better. So again, get very specific and very detailed. The more specific and the more detailed that you are, the better your goal can become, and the more you can hold yourself accountable for whether you are achieving it or not. So one thing that I think we're just going to touch on briefly is, especially with specific, is having too many goals at one time. So I think with specific, with SMART goals, is you really want to set one really good SMART goal at a time, because it's difficult to focus on too many things. We talked about creating focus. So I think it's important that we're specific and we're focused on one thing. So I'll kind of give this analogy. So imagine if I were to toss Josh an iPhone right now. So Josh, I'm going to toss it to you. Hopefully you can receive it. All right. So if I toss Josh my iPhone, which is a lot of trust, okay, and he's pretty far away from me right now with social distancing. If I toss it to him 10 times, I have pretty good confidence that Josh is going to catch my iPhone about 9 out of 10 times. Hopefully it won't take a punishment on that 10th time. But if I were to throw 10 iPhones or 3 or 4 iPhones at Josh, do I have confidence that he's going to catch all of them? Probably not. So that's the idea of setting one great goal at a time and not having too much on your plate and creating that focus. So with SMART goals, we always want to make them measurable and quantifiable. We need to be able to count what's going on. We need to have numbers with it so that we know whether we're achieving our goal or not. We want to track progress towards our longer term goal, towards our outcome goal. How many times do we set a goal for ourselves and say, I want to get better at this, but we have no measuring stick of how we're getting better. And we go 3 weeks and we're like, I think I'm better at that. I don't know. We want to set, make our goals measurable and quantifiable so that we know after week 3, wow, I'm doing this faster and better with less mistakes than I did at week 1. And that's how we want to create measurable goals, measurable SMART goals. So attainable. One thing that's really important about goal setting is we need to be realistic. Okay, you don't help yourself at all by setting unrealistic goals. I will never be an Olympic sprinter, no matter how many sprints I do. I am not beating Usain Bolt. Okay, so I think what we always need to do is set realistic goals that are attainable. We want them to be challenging, but not impossible. Okay, not impossible. So don't make it too easy, on the other hand, to achieve. Otherwise, you won't improve and you won't feel any value from achieving that goal. So think about when we're on the field as a team and we're at a game and we beat a team 9-0. That's not really all that satisfying as a game. Sometimes it's fun, but it's not satisfying. Versus if we were to go out and beat our rival team 1-0 in the State Cup Championship, that is satisfying. That's going to make us feel really accomplished in what we're doing. And then lastly, with attainable goals, you need to be willing to work to achieve the process goal. Okay, so that's one thing with setting SMART goals and making them attainable. If you're not willing to do it, well, it's probably not a good SMART goal.
So the R in SMART, relevant. Obviously, we need to have relevant goals for ourselves. As Jeff probably isn't going to make the U.S. Olympic sprinting squad, I'm not going to make the NBA or dunk a basketball. So that's not a relevant goal for myself. But it's really important to think of when we're talking about forming these goals, what's our long-term mission and is it relevant? Oftentimes players will put, well, I want to play professionally. And that's my long-term mission and goal for myself. And that's the outcome I want to seek. Well, here I'm connecting in our couple of our club values, because I think they're relevant here with our long-term mission of goals. And if you want to play, practice, perform with joy, and learn every day, which are two of our values, then I think that's going to really help you improve as a player and young person. And ultimately, your goal in anything should just be to become better, and to improve and learn every day and enjoy the game and playing it. And we'll go through more specifics of that throughout, this webinar and this process. Okay. And they also must pertain to what you want to achieve. So if you want to achieve scoring more goals, like we've mentioned before, that means you have to improve your finishing. So what are the specifics there? Well, I need to be able to strike a ball with both feet. I need to be able to head a ball on goal from crosses. I need to be able to volley. I need to have good dribbling skills to beat an opponent, to set up my own shot and look to create. And all those aspects as an individual forward to improve goal scoring. Okay, and does accomplishing the goal help you move forward? Well, just working towards a goal, I think definitely does, and helps you improve and you challenge yourself, and you're trying to achieve something and working towards that, putting effort and focus towards it. You're going to improve your game whether you achieve your goal or not most of the time. So yes, and it shows development in you as a player and person. So it's important to have a deadline and have an end in sight of where you're going to eventually end up. And a good way to schedule that is to set a time frame for yourself. Is it over 3 weeks, a season, a whole year? And tracking that throughout is important. And set that target date for completion and know that, exteriors may come your way. Maybe you have an injury that sets off your timeline and target date. Well, adjust it, which is fine. And then the number of repetitions that you will put into working towards this goal is important. And Jeff is going to outline the specifics of that in the next section on your actual action plan and how to build a good action plan for yourself with your goal setting.
All righty, this becomes the fun part a little bit. So obviously we want to set goals. We want to set SMART goals, and you can go through that and you can say, all right, I want to set a SMART goal. Well, how do I do that? And that's where this whole presentation is geared towards. How do we do that? So now we want to take our SMART goal. We've thought about it. We've been very intentional. Now we take our SMART goal and we're going to use it as our map to create our action plan, which turns our goal into a reality. So first thing that we want to do is build a list of tasks, write down all the steps that we need, all the exercises that we need to achieve what our SMART goal is. Then we want to organize that list, put things in sequential order. Do I need to do this first, or this first, or this first? And then in summary, what you're basically doing is creating the exercise that you're going to do to match your SMART goal. So if my SMART, we're going to actually do some examples later, but creating an action plan is about building the exercise, the mechanism for which you're going to execute that SMART goal. So now, what's important about goal setting is not just doing it, but the follow-up, how you're doing it. So constantly monitoring how your plan is going. Do you need to adjust it? Measuring success. Am I succeeding? If I'm succeeding too much, do I need to make it harder? Okay, if I'm not succeeding, do I need to make back the goal up a little bit and make it a little bit easier? Okay, or I'm right at that cusp. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm right there. Okay, but I just need to repeat that goal because I didn't achieve it today, but I know tomorrow I can. So that's one thing, that creating an action plan is great, but we want to have an accountability piece of holding ourselves accountable and adjusting as we go. This is one area where the process goal is really important versus the outcome goal, because we can adjust on the fly. With an outcome goal, at the end of the season, I want to score 20 goals. Well, if I get to the last game and I've scored 3, well, I haven't really made any adjustments with my outcome goal. Whereas with my process goals, I can make adjustments along the way. My shooting, my attacking towards goal, all of those sorts of things, we can adjust along the way. So one of the things we wanted to ask now, we're about to go through some examples of SMART goals. So we want to ask you guys on your Q&A button at the bottom to submit a couple, each person or a few people, if you are interested in a certain topic that you would like to see us turn into a SMART goal. We will give you 3 examples, and then one on fitness, one on technical, and one on tactical. But if you have a specific SMART goal or a topic that you want to create into a SMART goal, send it on in, and we will pick 1 or 2 out of that and go from there.
Okay, so SMART goal example here on how to improve fitness. All right, so let's say your specific is running 120s, okay, which is obviously all fitness oriented. All right, you would track 10 by 120s, and you want to get under 20 seconds with 45 seconds of rest in between, 3 days a week for 8 weeks. Okay, the 10 120s in under 20 seconds, that's your measurable. Attainable, difficult to get all 10 in under 20 seconds, but can be done. So when you attain that is your time. All right, so setting out running 3 days a week for 8 weeks, each sprint in under 20 seconds. Okay, the relevancy, all right, of this goal is if you run the 10 120s in under 20 seconds 3 times per week, you will improve your fitness base. All right, so obviously this example is more so geared towards our U13 and up players. Maybe not every U13 has run a 120 yet, but this is a way for our older players to really improve on fitness. And as you can see, the breakdown through SMART goal. Now, I will talk through quickly one example for you academy age players. Let's say it's your goal, fitness connection here, to stay as active as possible for every minute you're on the field playing a game in one of your academy games. All right, well, one way to do this, okay, and I'm not going to go through the specifics of SMART, but to use your practice to improve fitness, okay, and during every practice activity, not walking and staying active by either light jogging, sprinting, regular jogging, okay, and for every practice activity during your academy practices, you're practicing on staying on the move and active. And you can measure it by on your water break. Was I active during this activity? How many times did I stand? Is this attainable to stay on the move for a whole practice, and then will it transfer into game? Is it relevant? Yes, because we're at a high motion movement sport. And even you younger players, we want you always looking to be on the move when you're playing and using the different movements that are in our game. So that's one way to maybe look at it as an academy player to improve your fitness. All right, so now the next one, an example of improving technique, juggling. All ages of players can continue to improve your juggling, and here's a way using SMART goals to help you do that. Okay, so juggling at least 200 times every day as a warm-up, and then trying to get the highest number of juggles you can without the ball dropping, and trying this for 10 times. Okay, so obviously our specific is juggling, measurable, 200 touches total during a warm-up. Doesn't have to be consecutive, but trying to get your high score in 10 attempts. Attainable, yep, it's just practice, and setting aside the time to do so. And then relevant, yeah, we want to improve our touch and juggle each day, and that's going to help us. And the time is 10 attempts every day. So this example on technique for juggling could be used with a variety of different techniques. Dribbling with your weak foot, striking, passing the ball, shooting, crossing. For goalkeepers, practicing repetitions of catching a high ball. Practicing your footwork that Coach Lou shows you, practicing your diving, getting up and diving. So those are ways to incorporate it with different techniques, and SMART helps you outline that improvement.
All right, so we did a fitness one, we did a technical one, and now we're going to do a tactical one. So tactical topics are always a little bit tricky to make into a SMART goal, and a little bit harder. And one of the things that we often hear from older players and upper age groups is how do I improve my speed of play? And really, this is one that most people kind of give up when they try and put this into a SMART goal, but we want to show you how you can. And what you want to do is you want to create a SMART goal around speed of play, but narrow it down a little bit. Create one aspect of speed of play that you want to focus on. So right now we're going to focus on decision making and making a decision with speed of play. So speed of play, we're gonna make a SMART goal, and in a possessional exercise or training game, have a decision made before you receive the ball 3 of the first 5 times you get the ball by having your head on a swivel and evaluating pressure and the positioning of your teammates. So obviously we're not always going to get the ball, and we can't control when and where we get the ball in a game or in a training exercise, and you may not get it 3 times in that one exercise, and you just have to kind of repeat the goal if you don't. But the thing that you are in control of is, especially in an environment where you are going to receive the ball a lot, of having your decision made. So things that are going to affect this goal, you have to think about what external things are going to affect achieving this goal. So things affecting this are pressure. Where's pressure coming from? Where are my teammates? The quality of the pass coming into me is obviously going to affect my speed of play. So these are all things that you want to take into account when you're trying to set a SMART goal with speed of play. So one thing with this is it specific? Yes, it's focusing on speed of play by concentrating on decision making. It's measurable. 3 out of the first 5 times I receive the ball, I want to have a decision made by getting my head on a swivel and evaluating options. I know after I've received the ball for the 5th time whether I succeeded or not. Did I get it 3 out of 5? Did I get 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 or 1 out of 5? Okay, it's attainable. It allows for changing circumstances. Obviously, we're not talking about the actual decision that's being made yet. We'll talk about that in a second. But we're talking about making a decision, and it's attainable because we should be able to receive the ball 3 out of 5 times, knowing where we want to play the ball next. Okay, it's relevant in fast decision making will positively impact my speed of play. If I don't have a decision made, okay, then it's gonna be harder for me to play fast than if I have a decision made ahead of time. Okay, and then time, the first 5 times you receive the ball, okay, 3 out of 5, for 4 weeks or so, you can start to measure, okay, am I getting better at this? There's a definitive time element. There's a definitive rep element, 5 times over a course of a period of time. So you can see that you can turn a tactical topic of speed of play into a SMART goal. So how other ways you can address speed of play in a SMART goal? You could focus on playing in 1 or 2 touches 3 out of 5 times when you receive the ball. You can focus on the quality of your decision. So was it a positive decision that you made 3 out of 5 times? You can focus on your body shape. Was I open to where I wanted to play next? These are all ways that you can address and improve your speed of play through SMART goals. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to take one SMART goal from the audience. So Maddie and Sam wrote us, and this is wonderful because it's something that we get a lot, is how to improve your first touch. So we all hear this all the time as coaches. Well, I want to improve my first touch as a player, or we as coaches say, you need to improve your first touch. Great. How? So here's a way we can take improving my first touch and put it into an action plan, create a SMART goal and put it into an action plan. So first touch, let's create a SMART goal out of it. What I can do is if I want to work on my first touch, I want to work on my first touch of receiving a pass and into the next pass. So now I'm getting a little bit more specific. So I can go to a wall, find a wall someplace. I can go to a wall and I can put, 2 cones, maybe 4 cones out. I'm standing in a little box. Okay. And I say, all right, I'm going to pass the ball off the wall 10 times with my right foot, 10 times with my left foot. Okay. As I receive the ball, my first touch gets me out of this box that I'm in, but only by a yard. And then I play my next pass. And then I'm going to receive the ball off the wall again while I'm in the box. So if I do that 10 times on my right foot, 10 times on my left foot, how do I create a SMART goal out of it? Well, how do I create it being measurable? So out of those 10 times on my right foot, I'm going to do it well, meaning the ball stays within a yard or 2 of my body as I receive the ball. And then I pass it cleanly. I'm going to do that 6 out of 10 times on my right foot, or 7 out of 10 times on my right foot, and 6 out of 10 times, maybe 5 out of 10 times on my left foot. Okay, so now I've assigned a measurability aspect to it. I've created a time element to it because I've put a number of reps on it. It's relevant to what I want to accomplish. I'm going to get better in my first touch. If I do this exercise every day for 4 weeks, I'm going to get remarkably better at my first touch, and I'm going to be able to see that progress. You could also do it with your passing. So you could take the same wall and draw a little box with sidewalk chalk on the wall and try and hit your pass inside the box. So 10 times right foot, 10 times left foot. So there's a lot of different ways you can create a SMART goal out of a technical topic. Josh, do you want to take a crack at another one from our audience?
So Jeff, you answered your question on setting a SMART goal, improving first touch. The first question that came in was more so on motivation. And I'd like to go ahead and speak on that. And the question is, how do you remind yourself to keep trying to achieve your goals? And this player has had times where they try to achieve goals for a few days and then forget. And that's where, forming this plan and using SMART goals and starting the process can help you, because you can schedule when you're going to get out and do these activities to help guide your improvement. And it's important to make sure you are being specific on the particular areas of your play you'd like to improve, and really target those specific areas of your game you'd like to improve on with your goal setting, and set a schedule and how much time you're going to devote to each activity, whether it be technical, tactical, or fitness related. In 30 to 45 minutes, focusing on areas of improvement specific to you and your play should be attainable time portion for your goal setting. And then there's going to be times where you just don't have the ability to continue to uphold that schedule, and that's okay as long as you revisit it. But scheduling it and writing it down and being specific is a good way to hold yourself accountable, and then get in that routine. And then you'll find, a lot of times you'll want to get out, and you'll look forward to that time that you've set aside for yourself to continue to try and improve.
All right. So how do SMART goals work, and how do they build confidence? We mentioned that at the very beginning, that one of the benefits of SMART goals is that they build confidence. So one of the ways that we can do that is by tracking your progress. I encourage anybody who's doing a lot of goal setting to keep a journal, because it's easy to get lost in the moment sometimes, but you can see progress over time. So again, taking our technical goal and say, all right, well, I'm going to get or my juggling goal. I beat my high 3 weeks in a row, and this week I didn't. And I feel badly about it. But if I look back at my journal and say, for 3 weeks in a row I beat my progress, and then the following week I beat it again, we can see over a period of time a rise in level, and that's going to help us feel good about what we're accomplishing. So that's really important. Another really important thing that Josh is going to touch on as well is allow for and expect mistakes. I think one of the problems we have as human beings and as elite athletes, not myself, of course, is we are perfectionists. We expect ourselves to do something perfectly every time, and that's not going to happen. So we want to allow ourselves and expect mistakes, and forgive yourself for mistakes, and then focus on the positive, not the negative. So if I'm going to cross a ball and 9 times in a row, I cross a beautiful bending flighted ball to the back post and it's perfect, and then on the 10th time I shank the ball out of bounds. A lot of times as an elite athlete and as a perfectionist, I'm focused on the one time I shanked the ball out of bounds and not the 9 times I did it perfectly. So let's allow ourselves and build into the process, allowing ourselves for mistakes and expect mistakes. And that way we don't focus on that one mistake. We focus on the body of work that was excellent. Okay. And again, what that does is it starts to eliminate the emotional yo-yo effect of I achieved my goal, I didn't achieve my goal, I achieved my goal, I didn't achieve my goal, or even I achieved my goal, but we want to eliminate that. Okay. And then with confidence is if I don't achieve my goal, let's take the emotion out of it and say, all right, I need to set a new goal that I am going to achieve, and then build from there. So we're not going to achieve every one of our goals. And if we are, they're too easy. So building confidence is about setting goals, setting SMART goals, achieving it, moving on to the next thing, achieving it, moving on to the next thing. And sooner or later, we're building steps towards something great.
So what do you do when you fail? And how do you handle that situation? Because failure is a part of anything in life, and especially in sports, especially the sport that we all play. So what are appropriate ways to handle that? Well, every time there's a failure or a mistake happens is an opportunity to learn. So can you use that to become better? And you find ways to help guide your improvement from those mistakes. You're either successful or you're not, and you learn why you're not, and ask yourself what you could have done different. What improvements could you have made? But the point is if you enjoy the process, all right, and you don't hold on to failure and mistakes, you're going to continue to improve. But holding on to things when they don't go well creates frustration, and it creates stress and unneeded stress. This game of soccer is a game of mistakes. They happen every other second and minute when you're on the field, and you need to stay focused on, you know, the next action that happens when you're playing, and you don't have time because of how the game moves and flows to dwell on those things. Well, that's similar to your goal setting. I mean, if you stay focused and you realize, okay, there may be a bump in the road here or there, and you can reset and learn from it, and you're focusing on the big picture, that you're improving and that you're enjoying playing and you're continuing to learn, then that's at the root of all this to hopefully continue to continue to improve your development, all right, which should always be our outcome. Okay, and then you look at the numbers, and was your goal realistic, and could you have set a different goal, and and some of those outcomes, were they actually attainable? And it's okay to make those adjustments and reset them, and push yourself and challenge yourself again. Okay, but dealing with failure is part of being a human being, and everyone's got to figure out ways on how to let failure go and move on and learn from it. So the sooner you're able to do that, and with your goal setting, the more helpful and beneficial it is for you to achieve your goals next time you go through the process. So on our questions, before Jeff wraps it up, okay, two here that he'll go through.
All right. So one of the questions that we're having is about college recruiting. And how to set goals for that. That's probably going to be a little bit more of another topic. We could spend a whole hour on that. But really, it's about creating smart goals for that. Is can I email this many coaches? Can I email 40 coaches every day or every week? Can I hold myself accountable for making a list of 20 schools that I'm interested in, and 10 things I want in a school, and every 2 weeks I'm going to reevaluate that list. I think creating a SMART goal out of being recruited is a little bit difficult because there are so many. It's more of an outcome goal than a SMART goal. So I think what we want to do is create a process goal of, am I contacting college coaches? Am I calling them? Am I making myself recruitable? Am I playing well and doing the things that I need to do on the field when we go to tournaments? Am I comporting myself in a positive manner in the parking lot and respecting my coach and my teammates? All those things are noticeable. So I think it's a little bit harder to create a specific goal and a SMART goal based on just college recruiting in general. I think you have to create a little bit more specific with that. Other questions? Can TSC create templates for certain goals, i.e. juggling, to provide to players? Absolutely. One of the things that we're going to be sending out is a template or a worksheet, a SMART goal worksheet, to the club tonight. I'll be sending that out. And you can use us, you can use your directors, you can use your coaches. We want all players interacting with their coaches to help them develop SMART goals. But we can certainly put together a few SMART goals on some different areas and be happy to share that information. So that is totally fine. Any other questions that we have? I know we're running out of time a little bit. You know, we have time for maybe one more if we can get a good question. Josh, do you have any that you saw?
See a lot of recurring technical ones. I think it'd be great if me and you pulled them and, you know, included this in our follow-up to everybody. Some we went through, like juggling and speed of play and first touch, and then others, you know, related to technique. I think we can easily provide info on the SMART goals process to improve that.
Okay. And we're not going to solve the world tonight. That's why we have staff and coaches to help all of you through this. So we're excited to get the ball rolling, and hopefully it's been a positive experience. So one of the things that we're going to do is going to launch a poll for all of you to fill out. And then we just want to thank you for attending our first TSC webinar series on goal setting. We hope you've enjoyed it and found it informative. The video from this evening's webinar, as I mentioned on the chat, will be posted on our Tennessee Soccer Club-TV YouTube channel, along with our other great content that we've been creating all week while we've been off. We look forward to seeing you again at our next seminar. Thanks for coming tonight, and enjoy your evening and stay safe.
Thank you, everybody, for getting on. We finally had a nice day in our area, and I appreciate, and Jeff does as well. We had almost, you know, really good number of everybody on, and that's great. So, yeah, we'll look forward to doing these again in the next few weeks.
Thank you. Good night.